Your customer acquisition cost is what? Is it really that high? Okay, let me help you out with that. Stick with me and I will review not only what customer acquisition cost is, why it's important to keep it low, but I'll also share with you 5 ways that you can reduce it. Okay, you ready for this? Let's get started. Hi, I'm Vicki O'Neill, your Plateau to Grow marketer, and today I'm going to review customer acquisition cost, what it is, why it's important, and 5 ways that you can reduce it if your CAC, as you may know it, is too high. So let's go ahead and discuss what CAC or customer acquisition cost is. Customer acquisition cost is a very simple mathematical equation, so don't panic. It's not that difficult. It's taking the total cost of your marketing and sales expenses for a particular time period. So it could be for a week, it could be for a month, a quarter, or it could even be for a year. But you take the total costs for your marketing and sales expenses, you divide it by the number of new customers that you acquired during that time period. So not existing customers, just new customers. When you take the total cost, divide it by total number of new customers acquired, that is your customer acquisition cost. Now, CAC is typically associated with SaaS companies, but it can be used anywhere. If you listen to the terminology or what it means, CAC, customer acquisition cost. So an example would be if you spend $1,000 a month to acquire 1,000 customers, your customer acquisition cost or CAC is going to be $1. You simply take the total amount of marketing and sales dollars in a particular time frame. So it could be a week, a month, a quarter, a year. And then you divide it by the new, brand new, not existing, but new customers that you acquire during that same time period. So if I spent $1,000 in the month of June and acquired 1,000 customers, my CAC or customer acquisition cost is $1. Now, you certainly wouldn't want those numbers to be mixed up, right? You certainly would not want to spend $1,000 and only acquire one customer. Why? Because then you're spending $1,000 to acquire one customer. Now, of course, that's a very simplified approach and a very simple way to explain what that is. This number is going to vary greatly from company to company only because every company is different in how much money they invest in their marketing and sales efforts. You have to really look at it and say, okay, do I have marketing and sales resources or people who are managing that? Or are you spending more money on the upfront side on lead generation, so incoming leads? And as you can imagine, there's so many different variations of that. That's why the CAC is going to vary greatly from company to company. What you really want to do is look at the impact that your costs are having on your customers. And if you've been in business for a while, you can go back and look at historical data, probably monthly or quarterly, depending on how long you've been in business, and really look at the trends in your CAC from month to month. So why is this number important? Your CAC is important to know because it can help you monitor or at least give you a baseline of where you want your spend and your leads to be. So if your spend is increasing, but the number of customers that you're acquiring during that same time frame is the same or less, then that gives you an indication that you need to go back and evaluate what changes were made and how did that influence what leads were being driven to your business. If your CAC is too high or you really want to reduce it and see what impact it has on your overall business, here are 5 ways that you can reduce it. The first way is looking at your customer journey, or some people still refer to it as a funnel. But look at the different points along the customer journey and determine what points can be optimized. Is there a smooth transition from step to step or from customer touch point to customer touch point? Are the dots being connected effectively and efficiently? Or does there need to be an evaluation at some point because either it's creating friction at some point or It's lengthening the amount of time that it takes before they actually become a customer. The second thing you want to look at is your pricing strategy. Ultimately, the reason why a customer decides to buy from you is the problem that you're solving, but also the price tag associated with that problem that you're solving. So the price of that solution does factor into the customer becoming a customer or a prospect becoming a customer. So if you're looking for ways to reduce your customer acquisition cost, evaluate your pricing strategy and determine if any of those customers are dropping off, or if there are prospects that aren't becoming customers because of a price that you have associated with a particular product, service, or solution. Okay, the third way is to evaluate your marketing and sales spend. Ultimately, you want to have a very lean approach to how much money you're spending in both marketing and sales, whether you have resources or you're focused more on how you can generate leads inbound, so inbound lead generation. Look at how you can make that spend the most effective. Are there certain channels that are driving higher lead quality or a lower CAC than others? That's information that you'll need to find out and make sure that that information is comparing to the same time frame as your CAC. So if you're looking at your marketing spend for all your different channels, you want to look at it for a particular month if that's how you're measuring your CAC. Same thing is true with your sales efforts. The fourth way that you can reduce your CAC is to look at the onboarding time, or how long it takes a prospect to actually become a customer, finalizing that process. If there's an onboarding process before they're finalized, then you want to look at how you can minimize or reduce the amount of time it takes them to decide to become a customer and then actually get them up and running. If there is no onboarding process, look at how you can make that upfront process from prospect to sale leaner, quicker, and more efficient. Okay, the fifth way is looking at your inbound marketing or your inbound lead generation. Now, this can be a piece of the marketing and sales component, but if you're focused more on inbound lead generation, then there's going to be a lot more emphasis on the content, creating your buyer persona, looking at the customer journey, and looking at the overall effectiveness and efficiencies, easy for me to say, of that entire process, and how much time's actually being put into those content pieces. There's a lot of sweat equity invested in the upfront lead generation. So if there are some efforts that aren't really paying off, if you're spending a lot of time on Facebook and all of your leads are coming from a podcast, then you'll want to put more time and effort into the podcast and the content that you're putting there and really scale back on the Facebook efforts. I had created another video on customer acquisition costs and how to reduce those several months ago. Actually, it was months ago. Who are we kidding? And I'll go ahead and include a link in the video as well as in the description. So if you want to take a look at that, there's another resource for you. If you're new to my channel and you liked this video, don't forget to hit subscribe and that bell notification so you know when new videos are uploaded, as well as when I go live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. If there's something in particular that you liked or you have a question, go ahead and leave it in the comments, and don't forget to hit like for this video. Thank you so much for your time and investing it in watching this video. I appreciate you being here. Until next time, make today great.